Hi, I've been following along with Paul McWhorter's Raspberry Pi Pico lessons, and he's been delving into the PIO on Pico, and uh, most recent lessons he's showed us how to get the Neopixels working through PIO. This is actually going to be my third video on that. The first one, I just kind of follow what Paul did, but I did my own thing on the PIO, changed it up a little bit, and got some nice animations in there and everything. And that was end of that one. Second one, I decided to make it into the PIO in NeoPixel into a library module, and I got that working. But then I found out that it on a 60 pixel string of LEDs like I got around my neck here, it um, didn't work with the list, so I had to change it over to using the arrays. And and I went ahead and because it was a library module, you could, have several instances of it. So I have I was trying out the 60 pixel strip and a 12 pixel ring that I had. And um, at the end of that second video, I complained about, well, I don't know how to get it to it does both animations at once. So I've taken a little bit of time. I I delved into the Async IO library on another video just a little bit, and it's been 6 months ago, so I just dipped my toes in it back then, and I figured, well, I know that's the way to go if I want to do this. But I took a little bit deeper dive for the beginnings of it. And I think I got this one on at the last one was this DigiKey has a pretty good uh, introduction, 25-minute introduction to the Async IO library. I'll probably link that in the description. But it didn't go deep enough for what I needed to do. So I also found this one, and I'll link to this either also is I'm not sure who this is, but it's a async IO tutorial, and it's very deep dive into it, and I went through that and got as much as I needed to get. I haven't gone through the whole thing, but got as much as I needed to get my uh, library changed over. So the thing is using the async IO, that changes the way you have to do your main part of your program. So it's going to be I have a regular PIO NeoPixel library module, and I also have now I have an async IO library module, and the async IO library module will let me do animations on multiple rings and do other things at the same time in the on the Pico. Um, Basically, the async IO is like a scheduler that lets you instead of when you anytime you have to sleep in your code, you do this async IO sleep, so that what it does is it's a non-blocking sleep. It knows that you want to sleep for a certain length of time, but it goes off while it's waiting for you to sleep to go do something else. And then the idea is that each one of your processes has to have this break in it. Uh, you just can't, have like a sleep or anything like that in regular sleep in it. So once you do a async IO, they all have to be pretty much, non-blocking with the async IO. So let's get on to it. I guess the code was fairly easy to change over. So let's get over to my code. And where are we at? Yeah, here we go. So the changes I mentioned a lot of, you can go back to the other videos if you want to learn about what all the code does in the library module. But to get to use async IO, I had to import async IO, and then any function or method that had any kind of sleep in it, I had to call it the async IO in front of the def on that. And then anytime you had to sleep, you had to do the await function. And the await just tells you that it's going to let other things do stuff while you're doing that, but it's going to hold your code up here until your await finishes. So in this case, you're going to sleep for 1 millisecond, and then it'll come back once it gets um, the what do you, it gets its turn at the schedule, it's going to do that. And this 1 millisecond could end up being multiple milliseconds depending on what your other code did. But hopefully you got enough of your that you're not going to be cranking up too many milliseconds on each of one of your things. So that's what I did, and that's basically all you did. You changed to async IO and put the await async IO dot sleep on instead of just a regular sleep. So that's all you had to do on that. So I got a demo here because, like I said, your main code has to change a little bit to do this because, like I say, everything has to work around the async IO. So it's I have these functions that I have to run. Like I say, we're importing because I'm reusing async IO up here. I got to import it here also. I'm going to import time and I have to import my AIO Neopixel module that I was just showing you. So these are the functions I use, and this is, but first of all, I got to set up your two NeoPixel objects. So creating the NeoPixel ring, I'm calling it P, and the NeoPixel 60 pixel string, I'm calling it P2. And like I said, this is the pin number it's on plus the number of pixels, pin number, number of pixels. And I also am able to set brightness on it and trying to get it so that it works with the camera. I got the brightness set really low. This number's somewhere, you can set it between anything less than one. So right now it's like 3.33%, I guess, is what this amounts to. And the brightness on this one is 1%. You can still see it's flat. It's kind of washed out a little bit, but it's a little bit better on the camera having it that low. So after you have these set up, then you have what you call, you go and you run this async io.main. This has to be, or the way I understand it, this has to be the main thing that calls, and this calls your main program up here. And the uh, the main thing that you have with the async IO is you have what they call task. So you're creating your task up here. I call them T, and you a list of your. I guess this is a tuple of task up here, and you got the ring task. So that's everything that happens on the ring um, NeoPixel. And then I got one I call strip, and it's all everything that's happening on the strip NeoPixel. And once you create its task, then you do this await async IO dot gather, and you have this start task. So it's doing all these tasks, and this basically starts all your tasks at the same time, and or as soon as it can be done. So, like I said, each one of them has to have a way that it's going to give up the processing time during sleep or something like that. And we're going to do it that way. And so again, we have these awaits. So for the ring, each one of these, I have a animation to follow around the ring. Then I have another animation to wipe the pixels, and then I have another animation that's just prints random pixels on the ring. And like say each one of those starts with an await. So it's going to do this and it's going to await for it to finish. So remember, anytime you have an await, it's going to do what it says, but it's going to wait for it to finish. So it's going to do this one, then it's going to do this one, and it's going to do this one. So if you wanted to add more animations, you could just keep on adding these weights to it. Um, if you wanted it to keep going and going and going, you could put a while true up here in front of, and you could put a while true and it would just do each one and then go back to the beginning and start all over again. I just have it so it's doing these three and then stopping. And then the same way we got for the strip, we're doing um, the filling the um, pixel ring with a certain color, then we're waiting a second, and then filling it again and waiting another second. And this I got just in range of doing it 10 times, so it's going to take 20 seconds to cycle through all these to um, fill it between the red and the blue color. And then it's going to after it does all that, it's going to do a blank out all of them to turn them off. So that's what's happening there. Um, like I said, each one of these is running independently and they're running, they're all going to get their turn to do the uh, uh, on turn time on the schedule. So each one of these will work and each one will yield to the next one. So I guess that's best I can explain it. I don't have a 100% grasp of the async IO, but I got enough to get it working and do a halfway explanation of what I got going here. So we can go ahead and run this. And I guess I got to hold it. So the ring's going to be doing something, and the strip is doing their thing. So we got that going on. Now it's doing the ring's doing the random stuff. And the ring's going to stop here in a minute, but the other one's going to keep on going, and then it finally stopped. So they'll all go this down here, this await async IO gather. It's going to keep doing all these until it finishes all of them, and then that's going to drop out of the program. So whatever you animations you want to do, like I said, you can just do the animation, set up the animation list for whatever you want to do in the one, and set up the animation list for whatever you want to do in the second one, and it'll do each one all at the same time. And the timing is going to be pretty close to probably within a few milliseconds of what you uh, uh, what you have it programmed for. So that's the good thing about this. And that's like I said, this is just for the Neopixels. But if you want to do some other stuff in there, you can do that as well. So I have a second one here. And again, you got to still do it with async IO. So um, you can actually, this is at DigiKey. I'll show you how, this is where I pulled this one out of, is that you can actually uh, blink a LED, uh, you know, for certain period of time or whatever. So when you call this async IO, you're going to do this await, and it's going to turn it on. It's going to do the wait for whatever period of time you got, and then it's going to turn it back off and do the wait, and it's going to do that 20 times. So, and like I said, this is a blink, so you can call it. You're bringing in the LED, the pin set up as an output, and then a period in milliseconds. So that's what you got going on there. So get back down here. So we have our regular ring. So we're doing the ring and the strip, and this is all the same as I was talking about in the last one. But this time, well, it's mostly the same. I have to talk about a little bit different here. So the blink is uh, we're saying I got a LED on pin 14 and it's going to have a on time and off time of 400 milliseconds. And I have another LED on 15 and it's got a on and off time of 700 milliseconds. So it's going to go up there and it's going to call this one right after the other, and they're going to work at the same time, but they'll be blinking at whatever blink you have it set at. So that's pretty good. So you're adding that to your task, and that same way you're going to gather your task when you do that. Um, so that's so you can blink things as well. But also, I have the one up here. You can have a button, an async button thing, and catch a button press when you do it. So, like I said, when I got the button set up as a pull up, so it's going to be when it's unpressed, it's going to be a one. So, um, that's what we got on that, and we are going to check and see if it is a one, then it's just going to keep going through here. And but once it gets a press, it's going to drop out of this, and then it's going to allow the thing to do it, the button to, it'll finish up this function or method here. So you function, I guess, is what it is here. And then you got, so what I have is I'm calling this function, the button function down here in my strip one. So I'm filling it with a color, and then it's not going to do anything until it gets a button press. And then it's going to fill it up with another color. So like I say, this is going to keep looping up here until it's going to continue to wait. And the a wait down here is going to do the same thing. It's just waiting for a button press. So once it gets a button press, it's going to drop out of this and it's going to satisfy this. And then it'll move on to the next uh, line of code. So we're doing that. So each, and then calling it again there. So we're still doing it in range of 10. So this actual uh, async function is going to keep going as long as it's hasn't counted up to 10 and fell through on that. So we can show where, all the other tasks might have ended, but as long as one task is still going, it's going to keep on waiting for you to do it. So let's see if I can get this one working. It worked fine before. I'm sure it would do fine. My trouble is explaining it. I can figure out how to code it, but explaining it is my downfall. So let's see. We got this back up here, and the LEDs are here. There's a red and a blue one. You'll see them blinking. I got a button set up. I got all this stuff on there. And you could read I got a temperature sensor. We could read the temperature sensor and all that with the async IO, but I didn't, I didn't feel like going into all that. So let's go ahead and run this. So now you can see we're doing the blinking of the LEDs and we're doing this. And now I'm going to press the button and it changed the color. Press the button and it changed the color. And we can look and wait. The blue LED finished its blinks and now the red's doing it. And the Neopixel ring finished its job, but the red's still blinking. And of course, I still got all this I got to do. So that all the tasks except for that is finished now. But I can keep going here, and I got to keep pressing until we run out of those 20 changes that we had. 10 times 2 is 20 changes, and we're done all the changes. So anyhow, I think this is going to be my last video on this, I'm sure. But it's kind of fun that you can do like animations. I know a lot of people really like to do a lot of different things with their NeoPixels, and sometimes it's kind of hard to get them to do it all at the same time. And this solves a lot of that problem. Anyhow, that's it for today. Last video, and I think Paul's moving on to uh, other things next next lesson. So uh, we'll see how that goes. And I thank Paul for all he does. Have a great day, everybody.